أما الآن فمع مسك الختام ومع الفقرة المتميزة والمحتدمة، هل سيكون لنا سكن في المريخ؟ هذا ما سيقوم به متناظرو اليوم. يرى المجلس أن هناك إمكانية للعيش في البشر، أنه سيرسل البشر إلى المريخ دون عودة. هذا هو عنوان المناظرة، وليتفضل المتناظرون الكرام.
Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the last event of the evening. Now, my name is Mohammed Umer Sulaiman, and I will be your moderator for the evening. And let's dive right into the rules of the debate. Now, first off, the debate will be British parliamentary style. Two sides, government and opposition, will be facing off against each other. The government will be for the motion and opposition will be against the motion. Now, there will be 7-minute speeches with POIs being allowed during the middle 5 minutes of it. Now, a POI, or point of information, is when a speaker of the opposing team stands up and asks a question of the current speaker on the podium. Now, the first minute and the last minute, the speaker is granted immunity where no POIs will be asked. The start or end of immunity will be signified by a signal by me, and the end of the speech will also be signified by a different signal by me. Now, the motion for the debate reads, this House would take a one-way journey to Mars. Now, first off, I would like to start by calling the first speaker of OG, Mr. Abdul Qudus Abdul Basit, to start off the debate.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this 21st century, we have chosen to go to the moon. Not because it is easy, but because it is hard. A challenge we are willing to accept. That is what the late President of the United States, John F. Kennedy said. We are here to explore the world, to explore the universe, to explore the space, not only for ourselves, but also for the humankind and the survival of our genes and humanity as a whole. It is not a question of us human beings that if we are going to Mars. It is about time to ask the question, when are we going to Mars? It could be tomorrow, it could be the after, but that's not the answer. It is sometime in the near future. It could be spanning from 10 years to 20, 50, even 100 years from now. So this debate is set in an area or in a space or a time that is 50 to 100 years from today. Taking into consideration the current scenario, the current technology, the current policies applied by various institutions like NASA or like the Space program by Elon Musk. The burden or the question that side opposition has to ask or has to answer for us in today's debate is, are they willing to send people to Mars if there is a return trip? If there are favorable technological advancements, favorable to human beings to stay on Mars? These two questions are to be answered by side opposition for us in order to make this debate more interesting. Let's see if they're up to the challenge or no. The idea that I'll be moving on as my first argument is the spirit of exploration. Since ages we have seen Columbus traveling, discovering North America. We have seen people traveling all over the world, exploring different ideas. We have seen Neil Armstrong traveling exploring the moon, going to the moon in 1960s, exploring beyond the idea of atmosphere, reaching to the moon and saying that yes, humankind has taken the first step towards outer space. We have reached there. Why? Because we know we can go there. Because we know we have the technology. Because we know we are human beings, and that's what we have been created to do. We have been created to use our minds, to use our senses, to use our knowledge, our technology, our ideas to explore beyond the world, beyond this inner space that we are staying today. There's a reason we have been created as the best of creation. The idea today that we have to understand is we are not eliminating a possibility that there could be a return from Mars. But that does not mean we are still sticking with the notion that one-way trip should be taken. If at all there's a possibility to return, well enough, hallelujah, everyone is happy. But if not, we are willing to take the risk and send people abroad to Mars. Side government does realize, we do realize side government, that it's not that easy that we're going to send people tomorrow or the after. We do realize the technological setbacks, we do realize that human beings have to be adapting, have to improve, have to know the know-how of what's happening on Mars. There is a reason we have some Curiosity over there, the robotic, the robot from NASA, and we have seen the problems or the good things, the atmosphere, and different ideas, the soil structure, or this, and the botany way of doing things on Mars. So we know that there's some sort of advancement happening from the scientists and from astronomy, from astronomers as well, who have been studying this deeply over the last 3 decades to let us go beyond the space, to go beyond this world and way beyond the moon as well. So the idea that I'll be talking about more in details is preempting what the government could say, that this world is in a problem. We have all this refugee crisis. We have all these climate change issues in this world. Why not we put all these resources just to solve these problems of this world? There are experts, people, politicians, organizations who are doing that job. NASA have not been created, have not been built to answer those questions only for you. It has been created, it has been there, it has been organized to go beyond this world, to build the ISS, to go onto the moon, to take a trip to Mars, to expand our ideas about the universe, to understand and bring back the knowledge and the know-how, and to establish the spirit of exploration because of what makes us human as we are, and not just animals. The difference, to answer one of the questions that could be preempted from side opposition, is the difference between the travel to the moon, what happened and we return back, and the difference to Mars. The idea is we are not going to Mars for a picnic trip. We're going to Mars to explore, we're going to Mars to colonize Mars, to stay there, to establish humankind's existence on a different planet. That is one of the goals from this principal idea of motion. The practicality part of how it's going to happen, Mr. Bahar, my partner, will be talking more about that. But the idea is we're not just going there for a picnic trip, going in the morning and coming a week later. We're going there for proper exploration and colonizing and establishing human life on that red planet for us. Why we're doing all this? We realize that there are a lot of problems happening in this world. Of course, we'll be talking more upon and discussed by my speaker, Mr. Bahir. But if we are planning to develop ourselves, to develop science, to develop technology, we need to go beyond this Earth. That is, we have to go to Mars. The difference between Moon and Mars mission, one more is, we did not know what happened on the Moon. That is why we had a return trip. Neil Armstrong and his friends and different astronauts came back to this Earth because we do not know what's going to happen on the Moon. But that's what makes us different from the trip to Mars. We now know because of different probes that is being sent, that were sent by NASA, that will be sent, Red Dragon for example, that will be sent by SpaceX program. I'll take in a moment, that we gone through the Red Dragon program to know more about what's going to happen on Mars. If I move on, I'll take your point, sir.
So all these exploration trips which you have mentioned, being Columbus or humans going to moon, are not substantially that long of a period. So how can you actually compare them to a trip to Mars?
Sir, the idea is, the principal idea of we human beings being explorers. It's not just we stop. If Columbus could have stopped in Africa, we don't have discovered the great. We could not have discovered North America by Columbus. It could have been some other person. It could have been some other person going to the moon. We need a goal. That goal is reaching to Mars. We have reached Columbus' idea. We have reached the idea of exploring the moon. We are moving on to exploring Mars and to colonize Mars for the human race. That is the idea of mediating, principally the idea of humans being explorers and not just people sitting in one place and sitting on the sofa and discussing we may or we may not go. We have the technology. We have the right. We have the right to know. We have the right of people to go there and actually go abroad and discuss these ideas and to establish a colony on the moon. So if you all, the audience, and side opposition and side government, if you think you are with development, you think you are with education, you think you are with advancement, with technology, you vote for side proposition and government. Thank you very much.
Excellent speech. Now I would like to invite the first speaker of opening opposition, Abdurrahman Sayyid, to take the podium and give his speech. Hear her.
Alright, before I start by rebutting all the points brought up by the first speaker of opening government, let me start by cancelling out the main idea that he was trying to sell here, which is that we're against going to Mars. We're not against going to Mars. But here's the difference. Here's where we distinct ourselves from opening government. We do not disagree with going to Mars. However, if there is not a certain possibility of this trip coming back to Earth, we completely disagree on sending this to Mars in the first place. And let me tell you why. For many reasons. But first of all, let me start by pointing out some of the fallacies and some of the problems in the governance model. First thing, they kept saying, we want, we will, we're gonna. But who's we? They didn't tell us, who are we sending to Mars? Are they highly expert people? Are they astronauts, like we said, like the mission we sent to the moon? Or are they volunteers, normal people, who just want to start a new life on Mars, based on their model of colonization and staying there and starting a new life? They didn't tell us who is going. And let me tell you, in both cases, why this is bad. In first case, let's say we are sending experts. First of all, we are losing these experts and their knowledge if we send them. Why? Because when we send them to Mars, they will not have enough resources and tools and materials to work with when they're out there. What if they figure out a problem and the resources or the tools were not available there? How can they deal with it? It's better for them to deal with these problems here on Earth and send people who are either lower skilled or medium skilled or average skilled people who can fix this problem, like technicians who can actually work there without losing these brilliant minds over there and not being able to benefit from their knowledge and from their expertise. Now, the second point, what if we send, I'll take you in a second. Now, what if we send volunteers or normal people? Now, they talk about the refugee problem here. So, my question to you, first speaker, or for the second speaker who will come, are we sending the refugees who do not have a place to Mars? I don't think so, and we fundamentally disagree with this because it's an atrocity. Just because someone is escaping their country, we're going to just ship them to Mars. We completely disagree with this. I'll take it.
So what if I tell you that people who will be trained, well-trained, educated, will be sent to Mars? Will you agree with that, Richard?
Again, just like I said in the beginning of my speech, and that's the difference between our stance and yours, our stance is much stronger. We disagree to send them unless they are coming back. And at least if they have the chance or the choice to come back. But if you're sending them and taking the risk, oh, they might come back, but there's a possibility they might not come back. No, we completely disagree with this, and we will not agree to send them unless there's a certain chance that they can come back home. Now, moving on to my substantive points. I have 2 points on this matter. Why this contract is invalid and why the consent for such contracts is not acceptable. First, for a person to take a long-term contract like this, taking a contract that will affect the rest of their life. According to the government's model, if they take this trip, there will be no going back. We're staying there, we're colonizing Mars, we're changing whatever we want to fit life there. But what if they change their mind? What if they want to come back? That's the big question. And no matter what you say about contract and how obligatory they are, telling someone about how life will be in Mars is completely different from actually showing them and from them to live there and experience it themselves. If I tell a person how horrible a person is, I cannot give them 1/10 of how horrible it is. They must go there and live for them to be able to make an informed consent. Without this informed consent, their contract or their volunteering is completely meaningless. And if it's meaningless, they have to have the chance to take it back and come back to Earth in case they want to. Yes, I'll take closing.
Yes. So, what if we tell you that we're going to send them to a 7-year program in Antarctica, where they all live together in a secluded community, to give them an experience of what it would be like? What would you say then?
Still, you're contradicting the main point of the Prime Minister here, because a 7-year contract is a defined limit. They can disagree and they can come back. And even if they go for the 7 years, they're still on Earth. They're not light years away in a completely different planet. They're just in a different continent, a plane trip away from going back home, not from a missile shuttle, and taking years for them to go back.
Sir, do you realize it only takes 115 days with 10 technology to reach Mars and not light years?
Still, it's much longer than a couple of hours or a couple of days. And the possibility that you're missing here is that it's not like a magical shuttle that will take them back from Mars. They might take even years for them to be able to take that shuttle into Earth, because the orbits of the planets must be taken into calculations. They do not send shuttles or missiles whenever they want into space. They have to calculate the position of the planets and how long it will take. And all this is not accounted for under government's model. They think that whenever we want, we can send a missile to Mars, and whenever we want, we can send that missile back. It's not the case. And until that possibility is, and until that problem is solved, we completely disagree with sending a one-way trip to Mars that has no basis, and it violates the human rights of choice. You cannot take away people's choice from them, because that's the basis of what modern countries are based on. You cannot just say, oh well, we can't do this and we can't do this. No, we can't. No, we can't. So, to sum up my speech, I've shown you why our stance is much stronger, because we know what we believe in. We're not against science. We're not against the advancement of the human race. We are for it. But we want to preserve the human rights of these people who are going on this trip. And without preserving the rights of these people, we completely and fundamentally disagree with sending them anywhere, not even Antarctica, not even down the street. And for these reasons, we're proudly opposing this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sayed, for that exceptional speech. And now I would like to call upon Mr. Bamir Shahata to take the podium and present the speech.
All right, let's start this off with addressing a few of the main points that were addressed by the speaker previous to me. Number one, we will deny all trips unless, of course, we had a return trip for them. Now, three main things that we'd like to ensure over here. Anyone, regardless of who they may be, and I will go into that deeper on in my speech, anyone that is going to be there is going to have to meet three basic criteria, no matter who they are. First, they are mature. Second, they can make their own decisions. Third, it's their own choice. And they would be very aware of any sort of risks that are involved in them. Now, all of that aside, let's say someone does decide to change their mind for whatever reason. Who are you to deny to them their freedom of choice to actually want to go out? Let's go a step higher. Who are you to stop the progress of, let's say, SpaceX or NASA into trying to investigate these sort of things? We do not understand why you would limit all of this because of that simple point of what if they change their mind, which we do not really see happening simply because these are professionals that we are going to begin with, and I will go into that deeper in my speech. No, thank you. Second, we're going to be losing experts here on Earth, and what if they go there and they have no resources to deal with, so on and so forth. Such a cliche point. But the fact is, we are advanced enough to coordinate this sort of thing. We know what we need. We have already sent things over there. We know what is needed to terraform such a platform, if you will. And the fact is, you doubt the whole calculations behind this sort of thing, neglecting the fact that there are big institutions behind this, credible institutions behind this, that would coordinate this effectively. Third, it's not a magical shuttle that is just going to go up there. We do not know the orbits of it. But we do, and we sent things to Mars before. We sent curiosity. But let's assume for a second we don't know in that hypothetical scenario. That speaker started off his speech by saying, we are only going to accept trips to Mars if they have a return trip. How do you expect us to do that return trip if the map you claim is not available? That is simply not true. Without wasting any more time, I'd like to move on to my story. No, thank you. Number one, the question that's on everyone's mind. No, thank you. Who are we sending? And the answer is very simple but very big at the same time. Qualified people. And let's explore what qualified people actually means. We're talking about scientists. We're talking about meteorologists, meteorologists. People that will be able to test the site firsthand, specifically for the aim of developing human settlements on there. No, thank you. And let's look at the facts that we have right now. Mars, as we know it as the human race right now. We have discovered it by robots, number one. We know ice beds are there. And we have the satisfactory stats that make us go like, oh, well, this is a habitable planet. Why not discover that? How far have we advanced as humans? Now, one thing is for sure, we know the basis of human life. We know what is habitable, what is non-habitable. We know what we need to sustain ourselves. Two, we know that the Earth was at one point in time uninhabitable. And we know the process by which it went through to become habitable for us humans to live in. Three, we know how to refine, we know how to self-sustain, we even know how to control microclimate or on an even bigger scale. These are the things we know, which brings me to my main point of practicality. I'll take a second. Which brings me to my main point of practicality and how practical this idea would be. But before I move on, please go for it.
Sir, you've mentioned that the only people you're actually willing to send over there are qualified people, but please do explain that why does it need to be a one-way trip for these qualified people to just...
Thank you. I will address that after I move from my practicality point. I will be talking about continuity, make a point of what I'm going to say there because it will answer your point of information. Practicality is, we have already discovered, we have the capability of devising a plan as to how we're going to perform this out. Maybe we're not qualified to do it right now, but as my partner has mentioned in his speech, could be today, could be tomorrow, but most probably will be, let's say, 10 years or so, when we actually have the capabilities. But as far as we can do it, yes we can. We know how to do it, yes we know. And one important point is to make the distinction between robots and humans, sending robots out there versus sending humans out there. Robots give you quantitative feedback, while humans can give you a qualitative feedback. And what we mean by that is we need a first-hand human over there to test the scenario, to see if we actually can do it. Now the point over here is this is a mission with a specific goal, and we might not be ready per se to colonize right away, but we are ready to take that next step into the discovery path, if you will. Moving on to the continuity point, which will answer the point of information that was brought up by Wahab. We need to ensure continuity. So the point is with the picnic trips, as we will call them from now on, picnic trips, where you go and come back, a return trip basically. Sending a picnic trip is not continuity. Sending all people at once to colonize is also not continuity. The path should go something along the lines of exploration, setting fertility, even if it's initially chemically, evolving to a point where terraforming it is automatic from that point forward. And this is us basically expediting that process Earth went through to create basically another Earth. Now, to the point why we cannot have a return trip with this people, because it is because a continuity vision has to include fundamental things. One, sending a human hand to evaluate and cultivating the place, getting it to a sustainable state, and starting a proper colonization process. And here's the core of the point, why we can't have a return trip. Because for all of what I have mentioned right now, we need a proper permanent resident of the place. That is part of the reason why ISS is not advanced as it could be right now. We need a proper scientist that would be able to sit there, evolve the place, be there, monitor the place regularly. Something that you cannot relatively with convenience do from Earth over here. However, you would need a person over there to actually monitor the process, so on and so forth. To end, a concluding remark would be a one-way trip is, to us, basically a split from mankind that could eventually terraform their own Earth, create their own Earth, colonize a new Earth. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bakker, for your excellent speech. And now I would like to call upon Ms. Alina Lake to take the floor here.
Imagine being on a spaceship for traveling 225 million kilometers, spending more than 460 days of your life in a rocket ship, going somewhere where you're not going back home anywhere, with the risk of dying in the middle of the way and not reaching your destination. This is the risk that, this is the nonsense that side government has been proposing since the beginning of this debate without any valid reasons. And in my speech, I'll be mentioning two major points. The first point will be why is this a basic human right for people to disagree and not have to choose whether to go or not to go in their scenario. And the second point will be how it's unethical and from NASA from the beginning to propose such a decision. But at the beginning of the lecture, the three major points presented by the previous speaker. Suddenly, speaker decided to come up with more points that wasn't mentioned from the beginning from the speaker, but I'd like to go on with it. Speaker mentioned how people will be people who will be eligible to travel will be mature and will be able to make their own decision, and then decide to make them only qualified people. And we would like to stress up on that point, how the speaker mentioned how qualified people should be able to go. And we're saying that, are you really willing to waste those highly skilled people who spend years studying and experimenting, and they're well developed and they know everything they would like to know? Are you willing to waste them all and send them out of space in a risky trip that with a high risk of dying and not coming back home? And you're clearly saying that you don't want them to go and come back home just because you want to explore Mars and have some sort of settlement in Mars without even telling us reasons. Why is it, until now, we still don't have any reasons why is it necessary, why do we really need people to go to Mars and civilize in Mars, and we still lack this major point that both speakers failed to mention and tell us why is this really important, why do we really need to send experts and people who are well qualified, who spend years studying. They are the knowledge that we have so far. We're sending them all on a rocket ship for one-way trip, kill them all, let them go there without even just contact with them. We're still willing to spend all this risking those qualified people, the only amount of knowledge that we have so far, sending them all without the consent of them coming back.
Lina?
Thank you. No, I'm not taking it if you want. Sending them all to this trip without even giving us enough valid reasons why is this important, why is it necessary, why is it justified for you to send those people. Thank you, I'm not taking any. I'd like to repeat the second point that the speaker mentioned. Are we willing to stop the whole process just because some people suddenly decide to change their mind? We're not saying we're going to stop the process, but more importantly, we're giving people what they want, because this is, at the end of the day, it's violating a human right, which leads me to my first point, which is how this is a basic human right for people to change their mind, regardless of them being qualified people, or regardless of them consenting or... Yes?
If we give them the choice to change their mind and actually say we don't want to go, are you okay with it? And to send them whoever wants to go?
No, obviously not. But in general, people should have the right to go back. In your policy, you're basically saying, let's send people out there without even giving them a second chance to think whether they want to come back or not. And what we're saying is that they should have the right to come back. That's number one. Number two, regardless of, even if they suddenly decide to change their mind, they should still, whatever they want should be considered and taken into consideration. Because those people, you're sending them into a risky trip, they should have the right to deny if they don't want to take the risk. The second point of how it's unethical for companies and governmental institutes like NASA or whatever, the ones that are in charge of sending those people, it's unethical for them. Like we both agree, outside government agree with us, that this is a human issue. The thing that they're doing is changing the lives of everyone on this planet. Everyone is benefiting with their research or this trip that they're going. It's not going to affect one or two people. It's going to affect everyone. The amount of knowledge that we have is going to change our lives. Therefore, this is something that everyone should be deciding upon. Not only 2 or 3 people agreeing, mature people or scientists agreeing to go into this risky trip. Everyone should be involved in this, and and how it's unethical for NASA to get involved in this. Since the beginning, they should not allow such invalid trip to happen with invalid consent. This consenting they can write those people should not be taken into consideration from the beginning. Because first of all, regardless of how those people are aware of their risk, this should not happen. Because regardless,
You do realize you're accepting the fact that they have their own choice to make a decision, and then you're saying they should not make their own choice to go to Mars by their own selves? Aren't you against the idea of self-actualization and principle of choice?
No, we do believe they have the right to decide. We just don't believe that this is unethical from the beginning to have this sort of, to force people into agreeing or disagreeing to this choice. This is a choice that no one should be able to, people shouldn't even be forced to put in this position for them to choose whether they want to die or like go one-way trip to outer space and not going back home. This from the beginning, this is unethical, regardless of the moral reason behind it. Even though it's science and it's a reason that will change the life of everyone around on this planet, they still should not be forced into. No one should be put in this position.
Exactly.
To choose whether they want to go out. No, thank you. I'd like to summarize what I added to the table today. In my speech, I mentioned 2 major points. My first point was about how it's a basic human right for them to change their mind and decide not to go on this trip, which is the option that side government clearly does not offer for them by forcing them into one-way trip. What we're saying is that those people still have the right, even after signing their consent of leaving, they should still have the right to come back whenever they don't like it anymore. The second point is how it's unethical for NASA or any institute that's willing to send those people. It's unethical for them to put people in this position or to ask them to let them choose between leaving, because this trip in general should not happen because it's risky. It's highly risky, and it's just a waste of, just like side government decided to make qualified people, it's waste of qualified people. We're just wasting their knowledge, and we're letting them leave in a risky trip that we're not even sure, we're guaranteeing them not to go, not to come back. For these reasons, ladies and gentlemen, we urge you to oppose.
Thank you, Ms. Lena Lay, for your speech, and I would like to call upon Ms. Nina Ben-Hajj to appear.
The arguments that opposition has presented were just mainly that it's uncertain and that they don't have the right to go back, and that this is a human right, and then this is unethical, supposedly. But uncertainty is always present in any space mission. And the right to go back, again, these people are not toddlers. They are highly trained professionals that are trained, that take tests, physical tests and psychological tests. And there are also, this is an actual fact, that there are training programs of 7 years where people go to Antarctica in a secluded area so they know what it's like to live in Mars. The conditions sort of are the same due to the cold and the fact that they're secluded on their own and how they have to basically behave in Mars. And again, even on two-way trips, no one can really decide, hey, I just want to go home right now. Or even when they do get there, they can't say, oh, I'm bored, or I don't feel like staying, so can I please go home? This is a contract but they are highly trained professionals. And now moving on to...
We're not undermining anyone of their skill or the amount of training that they have. We're merely questioning the legitimacy of the kind of consent that you consider sufficient for them to go on such a trip, not knowing whether they will come back or not. This is our clash with
These people are adults. They are highly aware of the fact that they will not come back to see their families, the fact that their communication with them and their families will be around 3 minutes apart. These people are highly aware. They know what they're getting into. No one just randomly says, hey, I want to go on a Mars trip just because, and then they decide, no, I don't. And if they do throughout the 7-year process, then they can leave. They're free to leave. But halfway through to Mars, they can't just say, hey, can you send me back home? I'm bored. Or, hey, I really don't want to do this. These people are very highly aware of their surroundings, and they're highly aware of what they're getting into. Now, side opposition also mentioned, why is it necessary? Why is this research necessary? And this will take me on to my point. Now, as human beings, we have the need and nature to explore. So we always want to explore what we don't know. And curiosity is what has gotten us this far today. So that's why exploration is very important. So we need to know how human bodies behave outside of Earth, because all we know is how human bodies behave within Earth. We don't know how they react outside of Earth. We don't know how they react on different planets with different gravitational gravities. And as well as there being different resources on Mars. So we're not going to be taking all the resources from Earth and sending them to Mars. But resources on Mars are available. They can make their own water, they have their own plants, and these things can be regenerated. So we need to explore this research further and further, so that even later on, if anything does happen to our Earth, then we have somewhere, if we have somewhere else to go, we have sufficient research to basically survive. And then we also have, we all know the state of the world, currently, and how there are wars, and how there is climate change, and so on and so on. Now, this leads us to think maybe there's going to be a possible life outside of the Earth in general. So climate change could eventually, end up in us having to leave the Earth and go to a different planet. And a different planet can't be discovered at the time where we decide, hey, we want to leave, let's find a planet. We need to have extensive research done so we can go somewhere knowing the risks we're taking, knowing what we have to do and what we don't, and what we have to do and should do to survive.
Madam, same question to you which I've asked your two partners who just played a trick and moved on. Why is it important for the person to actually stay there and perform the analysis? As the motion states, it's a one-way trick.
For experience, because we're sending someone there we're sending scientists. So if we keep sending someone every 5 years and then someone else goes back, this knowledge is not, if it's a single person, this knowledge is accumulated. This person becomes a professional at what they do. They know what they're doing, they know where to look, they know what to do, they know what not to do. Thank you. And then, no, thank you. And going back to the condition of what our Earth is in now, we all know how there is almost a World War III starting, and how we have nuclear weapons with irresponsible leaders such as Donald Trump. So we never know when these things are going to be set off and how, to what extent these things can end up ruining our planet. And to what extent? So we are ensuring that we as a species can exist on two planets just in case someday we have to. And also that we don't end up getting extinct as a whole species. Now just to summarize...
Madam, don't you think it's better for us to actually protect the planet that we're living in, instead of just looking for somewhere else to live in?
Well, that is a nice idea, but not everyone is willing to do that. Not all world leaders are planning to take away their nuclear weapons and say, hey, let's just save the planet and stop our leverage, and just not consider, basically, and as well as climate change, some things you can't necessarily stop, and these things are bound to happen, so eventually we might end up having to go somewhere. And this research will always be useful. No, thank you. And that is all.
Thank you, Ms. Lina, for your excellent speech, and now I would like to call upon Mr. Waqar Aziz of Closing Opposition to take the floor.
Technical difficulties. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So today what we have over here is like, let's have a sort of a Tuskegee experiment where we send some people down to Antarctica and make sure that you're fit for Mars somehow by living in Antarctica, and then we get them ready to go to Mars. Well, one thing over here which government has not realized at all is Antarctica is nowhere close to Mars. Well, to start off with, the very obvious one, there is no oxygen in Mars. There is some oxygen in Antarctica. The second one, when you have no ozone there, it's much different again. And again, the place is nowhere close to Earth. So you cannot just put someone here in Antarctica and say that now you're fit to go to Mars. I'm gonna actually, I have my own points, but first I'm gonna start by rebutting some of the points that the government has actually given us. Well, the first speaker, the government speaker over here, comes up and relentlessly just says that, okay, well, if you guys can get back, hallelujah. If you can't, we don't care. Well, this is the point over here. This is the biggest clash we've had throughout the whole debate, which our side don't agree with, is that we want to make sure that these people, qualified people, actually get back, because these qualified people are important to this world, to their respective nations. So the fact that you're just going to send them there and then make sure somehow they come back or they don't come back is not a problem for you, is a problem for us as an opposition. Well, after that,
Sir.
I asked, no, sit down. After that, I asked the second person again, why does it need to be qualified people? Well, first of all, they kind of change their own stance. First of all, the first person comes up and says, we don't really care if you're going to come back or you're not going to come back. But the second person comes up and says, like, well, you know what? We have some standards, and you know, like, they need to be qualified and they need to be this. When I ask him why does it need to be qualified people, he just tells me to get some qualitative analysis. Well, sir, we have these machines who are giving us quantitative and qualitative analysis for the people's work on it. So the fact that you want to send people just so you can get some qualitative analysis is false. Moving on. The person before me comes up and says to a question that uncertainty is always present. Well, madam, that's the reason we send machines out there and not humans, and make sure everything is fine before we actually send a human for a one-way trip. That's what we send machines, because uncertainty is always present. Sit down, sir. Moving on, she talks about how there needs to be an accumulation of knowledge. How if one qualified person stays there, there's going to be an accumulation of knowledge. Well, sir, if that's the case, why do we come up with these research teams? We should just have one person over there, and we need to really mention over here, and no one has brought up in this debate, is the water bases. All those water bases, when I say all, I mean 100% are frozen. No, sit down. When 100% of water bases are frozen, there needs to be some sort of an energy source so we can actually extract this water. And the only viable source is, guess what? We're going to have to nuke the water bases. And when we're going to have to nuke the water bases, again, you have these problems. You can't just be dropping small bombs over there. You're going to have to drop something big to actually have this water base glowing once again. No, sit down. So again, if we're gonna go there and we're gonna do the same things over and over again, there literally is no reason to actually go there. We can actually have a better life actually staying here and improving our ways of life. Swiftly moving on to my second point. Yeah, you're out of order. Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna go for a quick cost analysis over here. How the cost analysis? Okay, so well, as our whole side has told you, and I'm about to reinstate, is that a Mars trip is 8 months away from here. Well, a 10-hour trip from here to the US, which is probably the most furthest place you can go, is around $2,500. And now we're going to have to send people, qualified people, eight months away without even caring about any cost analysis that is it even cost beneficial or is it not? Let's just do it for the sake of we want to do it. Secondly, NASA is planning to actually send people by 2030. But over here we've had recent budget cuts for NASA. Maybe as we know that NASA budget cuts have been cut by 60%. So again, so there's one thing. It's either that the research should be gradually slowed down or the quality of the research is not going to be that good. So when the quality of the research is not good, this is devastating for the human race and economy itself. And I have a lot more to say, but time's up, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Waqar, for your speech. And now I would like to call upon Ms. Zanira Sheikh to take the floor. Here.
Ladies and gentlemen, side opposition seems to believe that we on side government are proposing that we just leave people on Mars out in the open with no oxygen, and that's basically our plan, right? But the whole problem in this debate is that there have been a few issues identified, right? Such as the main clashes that have been on consent and having a two-way trip and where the money is going to come from, right? And all of these problems could have been solved if anyone here knew anything about what's actually happening in real life, right? So unfortunately, open government based the entire case on the hypothetical situation that's going to happen in 50 years, right? But let us tell you what's actually happening, right? So in the real world, right now, we don't live in a world where we're sending 50 years later. We live in a world where SpaceX has a mission, Mars 1 mission planned out already, where people are already signed up, where people have already trained to go on that mission, and which is going to take place in a few years, in 6 or 7 years, right? So we have the technology, it's already happening. They came up with lots of points that let me begin refuting all of them one by one. First of all, Abdurrahman asked us, who are we sending, right? So we're going to tell you what this, we already told you, like throughout our speech, we are sending professionals, we're also sending other people. They said, what if they don't consent, right? So the whole SpaceX mission is basically based on, they actually opened applications and anyone who wanted to apply could apply to go to Mars, and these people obviously signed up with their own consent. No, thank you. These people signed up with their own consent. There were hundreds of thousands of applications from throughout the world, and people were selected through various procedures. They were given training in 7 years training in Antarctica. Besides that, they were checked for physical and psychological wellness and all of that. No, thank you. Okay, and then they said, Abdurrahman told us, if there's no certainty of coming back, we don't want to send them. If this is your criteria, then you're not going to send it, you're not going to end up going anywhere, right? Because whenever you go somewhere, there is no certainty of coming back. So we don't have this anymore, right? So then we tell you, and then they said there's a right to choice and informed consent. We tell you, yes, already these people have been through these procedures, and they still chose to do it, right? And they still want to deny that, and we don't see how they stand for the right to choice when they're saying that these people should still not be sent, right? And then they said, oh, Waqar came up and kept insisting, why can't there be a return trip? Okay, here's why. Not because of continuity, but simply because we don't have existing technology to launch rockets from the surface of Mars. That's why. You're welcome, right? But no, first one-way trip. It's a necessity simply because we need to learn more, simply because we need to get the technology to take that second two-way trip, right? Because we need to learn how we can do that. So this is necessity.
Madam?
No thanks. And then they said, we're going to know that you're, Lena came up, she was like, guys, imagine you are on a trip and you know that you're never going to go back home, right? Yeah, people do it on Earth all the time, right? We move out, we move to a new country, we know that we're not going back home. We still do it. Why? Because we think it's worth it. That's why. These people have chosen this for themselves because they know that it's worth it. So these people that believe that it's worth it, I'll take up that conversation.
Yes, they do move knowing that they will not going back home, but that's by their choice. Yet they have the chance to go back home. They're not cut off from their home. That's what we're defending here. We won't give them the chance.
Yeah, so here's the thing, you never know what chances there are because literally there's no chance of anything happening. You never know what's going to happen in the future. We tell you that this is different because this is for a great cause, because this helps the exploration of the universe, of our universe, and it helps us improve our knowledge, and therefore it's worth it if we don't have that chance, because these people that have signed up for it themselves, right? Okay, what are you?
On the point of signing up themselves.
Aside from I want to thank you because you basically backstabbed your whole side. The point over here is that, Miss, your whole side has talked about sending qualified people, and you come up here and tell her how random people are signing up and things like that. So can you tell us how you are actually trying to back up your own side and not tell us about your
basically, I don't think it's necessary to back up your own side if they don't make sense, right? So that's why we're talking about different things. Anyway, so they asked us why they tell us it's unethical to kill your own best qualified people. We're not killing them, we're not killing these people. They tell us it's bad if we send them to this. No, this is their self-actualization. Because if I have lived my entire life studying about science, studying about Mars, and I get to go to Mars, that's the chance of a lifetime. Then I get to do what I've studied, then I get to fulfill my use my actual knowledge, right? So it's actually, you're not killing anyone, right? After everyone's gonna die anyway, so that is just because you send someone on a trip doesn't mean that you're killing them, right? Okay, and then they said it's unethical for NASA to get involved, they're not getting involved. SpaceX is a private non-profit organization, right? Okay, and then they said, and then Lena was like, everyone should get to go, guys. But then she also said before that we should not send our best qualified scientists. So they don't count with everyone. I just want to know. But secondly, we're telling you that it's still already open to everyone, right? So everyone gets to go. And then they tell us that it's unethical. Abdurrahman asked in the UI, it's unethical to send them not knowing whether they will come back. This is not how it is, right? So they are going knowing that they will not come back, right? So this is different. Imagine that you took a flight knowing that you're never going to come back. So we think that you would actually have really good reasons to do this because you thought that was worth it, right? Because you thought it was a great idea because it was a once in a lifetime chance of doing something, going to an amazing new place, right? Okay, and then they said that it's better to protect the planet that we live in, right? We're saying that first of all, this is really difficult because of given the current climate change trend, does not seem to be reducing, right? Stephen Hawking recently said that humans only have 100 years left on Earth, and if we want to continue as a species, we have to become an multi-planet species. And we're not saying that we don't want to save the Earth, right? We just think we can still do both, but we have a planet B to go to in case the Earth is not last us long enough. And then Hawking came up with like no oxygen, no ozone, lots of radiation. Yeah. So basically, here's the thing, right? A lot of these questions could have been answered just by policy, just by telling us the fact that SpaceX is sending a huge spaceship with people on the space, with obviously they have oxygen in those spacesuits, but also because of the fact that they live in spacesuits, they wear spacesuits, they can actually go out into the surface of Mars, explore it for a few hours because of the radiation problem, right? But then they said that, robots actually are giving us qualitative analysis. It's simply not true, right? So basically, an astronaut told us that the work that a robot does in a few months can be done by a human being in a few days, right? So this is a lot more efficient sending human beings. And then he said there has been no long-term study done on human isolation. Number one, it's not isolation, right? Because if you're going to a space colony on Mars, you have to stick around with everyone around you because literally all you have on that planet are your, fellow people, right? Secondly, if there hasn't been humans study on human isolation, let's do it, right? And then he said water is frozen, we're gonna have to do nuclear bombs and stuff, right? No, first of all, we can extract water from the soil, and secondly, we can also melt it by creating a greenhouse effect. And thirdly, finally, I'd just like to talk about the cost, and just imagine the fact that when we go to Mars, it's going to be such a huge media spectacle. This is how SpaceX plans on funding it by creating the media spectacle of a very large proposal.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zamira, for your speech.
In a night of science fiction, let's come to reality. Let's begin with the opening government, which set up the case for this motion that humans are a species who likes to explore, and there is an inherent spirit of exploration in us that drives us to explore unknown lands and unknown planets. However, as a side effect of this inherent explorative nature, we are also a bit we also have this spirit of conquering. That means wherever we go, we tend to conquer that place. For example, when he gave the example of Columbus arriving to America, he also brought with him diseases that wiped out the native population. Our oldest research is probably not yet. All this research is probably to understand life, the origins of life, where we all came from, because Mars is a planet that is very closest in resemblance in its properties to Earth. However, in the process of understanding and studying the possibility of life on Mars, we tend to destroy the native life that probably or may exist in Mars. That's not a good idea. So,
on that point, sir.
This is a very important part in our exploration of Mars.
That's it.
Thank you.
Sir, your whole side has a lot of contradictions. If you send one-way trip, there's no oxygen, but if you send two-way trip, there's oxygen. If you send one-way trip, there's no cost, there's lots of cost. If you send two-way trip, there's no cost. If you send one-way trip, there's no technology to survive.
I get your point. So the nature of these two-way trips are that they are temporary, they are not permanent. One-way trips, when we condemn them to a certain planet, they have to become a sustainable group of people, they have to become a sustainable society. That means either they cannot... no, the problem with sustainability is that you have to destroy Mars to get the resources out of Mars. That means you have to use local water, you have to find a way to produce oxygen, create your own food. These are practical challenges. Sir. And I don't think that we would be able to meet them in the time frame that you said, which is 50 to 100 years.
But sir...
Probably, no, thank you. Probably the terraforming of Mars, which is basically converting into an Earth 2.0 planet, it would basically destroy the planet. And I don't see why would we do such a thing. Moreover, there is no ethical reason for us to become a multi-species, multi-planet species, because the moment Earth is going to be destroyed, we might not have... I mean, it is much easier to try to save the planet Earth than it used to take over an entire planet. There are different ways Earth could end up destroyed. No, thank you. In all of these scenarios, the cost-benefit analysis would always yield to the protection of Earth. No, thank you. And moreover, even if, as you proposed, there was a return trip and there was a possibility that we could permanently settle there, we should not still do it. Why not? Because Mars as a planet, it had the same early conditions of life on Earth. That means... Sir, no, thank you. So, to study the origins of life, we need to preserve a planet and understand why life could not, complex life like us could not evolve on Mars, and possibly it would take us probably years and not the time frame that you set for us to understand why life, like the way life it is in Mars it is. No, thank you. So the other clash points of this debate has been the
human rights violation of not allowing the return or not giving the capability to the people to return. The third is the lack of preparation for the trip itself. Now, opening government, they came up and they gave smooth answers to all these questions. They started off by saying that experts such as scientists and meteorologists are to be sent. The second point they put forward is that this trip takes place in 100 years. Thus, the capability is present to terraform the planet to human needs. The third is that humans are required on the trip for qualitative feedback. Of course, we have machines over there, but they are only capable of quantitative feedback. Number four, there cannot be a return trip. This was the main flashpoint of the debate, and this was answered by opening government, that there cannot be a return trip because a permanent resident is required to become an expert and gather knowledge. The fifth point, presented by closing government, is that as per status quo, side opposition kept on mentioning that there has to be consent, there has to be return of the trip. Now, side government mentioned that as per status quo, for the recent Mars mission that we all know of, there was a large number of applicants. That means they do know what they are getting into, and they are fully sound of mind, and they want to leave planet Earth. They don't want to stay here. Now, moving on, number 6, the main. The aim of the trip is to have another habitable planet to go if the Earth cannot be recovered. Now, moving on to opposition. Opposition's arguments were quite decent in response. They started up by saying that the value of life is actually worth more. The value of life trumps progress. By saying if scientists are sent, then bright minds may or may not be lost during the trip because we are sending them into an unknown environment, into a harsh environment where they are most likely not going to survive. The second point is that people must have a right to return, and it is a human right violation to deny their return. The third is that training habitats, such as Antarctica, where training is actually taking place, are not sufficient as the atmosphere is drastically different. There is oxygen, there is ozone in Antarctica, and it is lacking and absent in Mars. Now, the fourth point is that the financial cost is too high to partake in such a mission anyway. The fifth point, it is much simpler to save Earth rather than look for a new planet. Now, I have presented all these planets, and before I ask the audience to vote by raising their hands, I would like to ask them to kind of leave their bias behind. Just because you have friends within this debate does not mean you just vote for their opinions. Now, whoever thinks that the government side has convinced them further in the debate, please raise their hands.
This is the government.
Government.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15.
Okay. Now, everybody who thinks that opposition, side opposition over here, has convinced them that the Mars mission should or should not take place, please raise their hands. Their votes are counted.
Yeah, gather them up, why not?
All right, the votes are in. Well, huge round of applause for the side government. And that will be all. Thank you very much.